Hello, my name is Carl Surrey and this is a video tutorial for the Facebook group called Fans of Serif Software. Now this is the second part of this tutorial, which is looking at making fairly simple watermarks stroke logos that you can add to your image to help sort of copyright them. Not something I particularly like doing myself, but many people do like it, so I'm just showing you how to do this. The first part of the videos, these two videos, was just to quickly show you how to make a fairly simple one, and this one is to show you how to sort of preset up a file so you have the watermarks ready, and then you can just simply add them without having to go through the whole process again and again with every photograph that you do. I'm going to make various different watermarks, and hopefully you will like one or all of them. But before I do start that, I just want to quickly add something which I forgot on the first video, which was you can add sort of little logos or images to your watermark. Say for example, like this camera image which I have here. If you're very good with programs like PhotoPlus or other drawing programs, you could probably make your own, or you can, like me, look on the internet for royalty-free images and find one suitable for whatever it is you want to add as your logo. So what I would do, and also if you've got a dark image like I have here, obviously it'd be better if it was like the main part of it was white rather than black. So right, the reverse of this one. So what you need to do is to image, adjust and invert. So that is now changed, the colours have changed over. So now if you select all, so you have the marching ants going around it, edit, copy, go back to this main image and then edit, paste as a new layer. So as you can see, I can now move this around anywhere on screen, but as you can see you've also got the black outline. Now this is where the blending modes come in. If this had been still the right way round with the black image and the white background, you can use, I believe it's multiply, but as this has got the black background, if I use screen, it will lose all the black from that image. So I can now move that down here, and then I can come to the text tool, draw out a font size. I can change the font if I want. I can alter the size later, and I'll make it bold. And also, like I mentioned in the first video, you can add a copyright symbol, which you can find out the correct coding from the character map. Because in programs like PhotoPlus, if you typed open brackets, C, close brackets, when you press the spacebar, it would have made the copyright symbol, but that doesn't work in PhotoPlus. You have to, if you want the copyright symbol, and let's make this text white. It's easier to see then. Yeah. Yeah, so you would have automatically made this into a copyright symbol, which it obviously hasn't done. So by using the character map codes, which for this particular one is holding down the Alt key and doing 0169, it automatically enters the copyright symbol. But there are many symbols in the character map you could use. If, for example, you have a sort of fairly non-English name, for want of a better phrase, and you have a little accent over the E, for example, in your name, you could access that to say, for example, your name is Rennie and the last E has an accent over it. You can hold down the Alt key and the code is 0233. So it will add all different characters. So if that was going to be your Watermark logo, what you could then do is, as you can see over here in the layers display area, at the moment the text layer is highlighted. If you hold down the control key and click on the other layer, which is the camera image, both of those will now be highlighted. If you right click there, you can link layers or press Control and K. And as you can see, these two layers now have this sort of chain symbol. So if I go to the Move tool, now when I move this, both layers move together and remain linked. So that's quickly going over the bit I missed from the previous video, and now to carry on with making the next version, which is setting up a pre-made file that you can use every time. So I will be back in a minute once I've cleared this screen. So to start making this pre-made file, you really need to know the start size that your camera makes, file size. My Canon G11 camera, the file size is a 3648 by 2736, and my D700 camera, the file size is 5184 by 3456. So as you can see, different cameras have their own sizes, or different sensors within cameras have their own size images. So make a note of whatever size your default size image that your camera makes is, and then go to File, New, and I'm going to make the file size 5184 by 3456, which is the default size for my D700 camera, which is what this image in the background was taken on, and then click OK. Now, as you can see, this started with a white background, but I really don't want a white background or a black background because I'm going to be making both white and black logos. So what we need is a middle of the ground color like grey. So if I click on the foreground color and the color selector comes up, we're looking for a grey which is found on the left hand edge. Doesn't matter which color you start in, and greys, the white will always be at the bottom and the black will be at the top, and greys are in the middle. Now roughly you can either type in the numbers, because the middle color grey is 127, and all three are G and B. And I'm going to do a quick guess, it's going to be about there. Well, that's not too bad. It's almost 127 on all of them. So I just click OK. Come over to the flood fill tool, and then just use that to flood fill the whole image in grey. So now I can start making my new logos. So I'll come down to the text tool again. Just quickly draw out a font size. I'm going to do my copyright symbol, which is Alt 0169. And what I forgot to do was change the colour back to black, because at the moment it's grey, so you're looking at grey text on grey background, so it's obviously not visible. So let's come up here and change this back to black. Click OK. I'll just delete that back and then do Alt 0169. There we go. And let's do this one as Fans of Serif Software. There we go. So again, come to the end of this text. Just click, hold, drag back to highlight all of them, and you can change the font, change the font size to whichever size fits your image best. 48, 72, yeah, 72 point is okay. You could also make it bold, italic and what have you. And then once you're happy, I'll just come off that tool so you can see what I've typed in. Now what I will do is I will rename this layer. To do that, I just need to highlight the layer, which is currently called layer 1, right click, come up to properties, and then I'm just going to rename it from layer 1 to black, and then click OK. And as you can now see, I've now got background and then black. Now you will find it's easier to rename them as you go along, as you make it easier to decide which one you want to use later on. So what I'm going to now do is duplicate that layer. And so I'll right click, come up to duplicate, and this time I'm going to call it white. Click OK. Now obviously you can't see any difference on here because that copy is exactly over the top of the layer below it. So I'll go to the move tool and then move that up. Now you could alter these effects one at a time as you go along, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make all the different layers and then go back and make the effects. So what I'll now do is I'll duplicate that white layer, and this time I will call it grey, and click OK, and then move that one up. In fact, it might be better to come over to the edge slightly, so I'll just move all of these layers just by highlighting each one and using the move tool to move them over. I'll go back to the top one, duplicate that one, and call this one embossed. Click OK. Use the move tool to drag that one up, and duplicate that. I'm just going to call this effects 1. Okay. Move that one up. Duplicate, and then call this one effects 2, and move that one up. So as you can see, I've got 6 different ones. Yeah, I could carry on, But also, if you are you want to have different pictures watermarked in different ways, say for example, I wanted one with just my name or the camera logo as well, maybe, and some with like a company name, say for example Fans of Serif Software. You could, on the same setting up, make a new layer and make sure the color is black. Okay, do Alt 0169. Do your name. Change it to whichever size and font that you want. Use the move tool to move it to where you want. And again, you could carry on duplicating this. I'll just do it just the once. And I'll just call this car effects. And then move that one up. So you're not stuck with just continually using the same watermark stroke logo. If you have various companies or various names that you want your image to be displayed as, you can preset this file to however you want. So now to go back and change them to different styles. Now what I will do is I will turn off all the ones I'm not going to be working on to start with. So let's turn all those off and then highlight the one that I am going to be working on and the only one that is still visible. So I'll come to the text tool, put the cursor at the end, click, hold, drag backwards, and then we'll change the color to white, which is close enough. Do. So then if I go on to the next layer, I can hide the white one. Now this one, obviously I can't make the text color grey because it would be lost in the background, but you can make it grey by changing the opacity. So if I bring this down to 50% or thereabouts, you then have a grey image. Now you could, I know this may sound bizarre, but you could make a white grey and a black grey, because if I highlight that white layer and lower that down just for example and bring this down to 50%, as you can see that grey is not the same as that grey. It's not true grey obviously, but this would be a fainter version of the white pixels, so it will show up better on a dark image, and this is the lighter version of the black pixels and will show up better on a lighter version. But you could just as easily just use the black or white layers and then change the opacity as and when you want to. But I've set this up using the 50% black, so I will hide those two and come on to the embossed one. Now there's on the right hand side, as I've mentioned in previous videos, there are 3 panels and each have their own tabs, like adjustments and history and navigator and color. But there are more tabs available, but they don't get loaded by default. If you come up to Windows and come down to Studio tabs, As you can see, all the ones that have got ticks on are the ones that are visible. You could add the character tab, for example. So if I just click on that, the character tab is added up here. So from here you have more control over the text. So you could highlight the text and change the font size, change the spacing between letters and other options. So I'll come back up here, Studio tab, and come to Layers Effects tab, which adds a new tab to this middle section. Now here you have all these different options, like there's wood, chocolate, plasma. So I'll just click on, let's try dots. Hang on, I'm on the wrong. Let's undo that. You must make sure you're on the right layer. Click and highlight the layer you want this effect to happen to, and then click on dots. And as you can see, this has changed the way that looks. So you can just click on each one, try different options, see which one you like. Now there is a drop down. This is all under the abstract menu option, but there are many different options. So for example, you come to plastic text, and then you can change how that looks. Not that much change between each one. One that's quite good is metal text, which you can have various looking options. So you can, as you can see, you can really go to town and change how your logo looks just by using these sort of embossed type text styles. Let's have a look at one last look. We'll have a look at glass. So some changes are subtle and some are quite dramatic. I'm going to go back to metal. So it's difficult to choose. Oh, I'll stick with that one. So then that is that layer finished with, and as you can see, the layer is now, it is a text layer, but it has got effects added to it. Another way to add effects, let me highlight that layer, make that layer invisible, is if you come up to the layers menu and come down to effects. You click on effects and it opens up this layers effects box. I'll just move this down here underneath that so you can see where we're going. So you could add bevel and emboss, just put a tick in there, and you can change how the effect works on that particular layer. Some effects take quite a while, quite a severe movement to make any effect, and other options you just got to move it a little bit and it's a dramatic effect. So you could alter the transparency, so this you're sort of almost making it invisible. So you can alter things in very different ways. So if I just click OK on that one and then go hide that, make the next one visible. But first, remembering to highlight that particular layer, come up to layers and effects. Now this time I want to add a bit of drop shadow, and I will move the distance up. As you can see, it drops the shadow below the original, and you can change the angle of where that shadow is, but I'll leave it roughly where it started off. Bring it back slightly, and you could change the colour. So for example, you could change the white of the drop shadow, but I'm going to go slightly intense red just for the fun of it. Bring it a bit closer. So it's just adding a hint of red around that black type, and you could, leave that there. So if I just bring back these ones that I've done already, as you can see, I've got various versions of the same file, that being the black version of the Carl Surrey logo, and the last one I'll just make that visible, click on that layer to alter it, and then I will again go to, I think I'll use these versions over here and look at, I don't know, design. I don't think I've ever looked at this one before. I can see why. Let's have a look. Oh, that one's alright, it's quite nice. They got the red, shiny red with the drop shadow. Yes, I like that one. That will do. So I have all these preset possible logos, watermarks. Now the thing to do now is to save this, but to save it as an SPP file. Okay, so what I'll do is I will call this logo setup, and then save. Now saving it as an SPP file means it will keep all of these layer information. So next time if you open it, it will all come back exactly how you set it up. So let's assume I have just opened this SPP file up, and I will turn off all of the layers just for now and highlight the background layer. So now I'm ready to insert an image. So let's go back to this image here. If I select, assuming I've just finished processing this how I wanted it, I can select all, edit. Why won't it copy? Come on. Select all. Because the layer is not highlighted. As it's the only layer there, I didn't think to check that it was highlighted. Select all, edit, copy. Schoolboy error. Right, and then go back to the SPP file, and then making sure that the background layer is highlighted. Edit, paste as a new layer, and it will insert the image. Because the background was highlighted, it will insert it above the background but below any of these preset watermarks. So now you can turn on any or all of these. You can do one at a time and find one that you think works best with your particular image. Obviously I'm going to turn them all on, but you wouldn't use all of them. So now the ones, I think that one works quite well, as probably will this one. So what I'll do is I'll leave those two on, turn off all the others. And again, see now, because they are on N layers, you can move them around as long as you highlight the one you're going to move. So you can move it to wherever you want. So I click on that one. I could bring that down there, for example. Obviously, you're now going to lose, in the black areas, you're going to lose the drop shadows. So this would obviously work better in a lighter area, much like that one. Whereas if you use the white one, it would, as long as you highlight the layer before you try and move it, you can put this into a darker area, and like I said before, you can lower its opacity whichever way you want. And even at this later stage, if you wanted to add effects to whichever layer you decide you want to do, you still can by just going up to layers and then effects, or using effects from this layers effect panel on the side. So you have many options even after using the SPP file. This is just helping you to cut out a lot of the preparation because it's already done. Well, I hope that is of some help to everybody, and I think that's the end of both these tutorials. So thank you and goodbye.